any engagement don't satisfy them. So that's why it's just like a bamboo bite. It looks like something, but it doesn't have a substance. And it's just like you would have had a plastic apple or something. It looks like apple, but if you want to enjoy the apple, you really can't enjoy the apple. It just looks like that, but it doesn't have the substance. So substance and shadow. So we'll go through several subjects here. We'll cover them as fast as possible. So we'll talk about attraction. We'll talk about being the boss and the servant, choosing between original and fake. We'll talk about beauty. We'll talk about some beauty queens. Friend of your heart, Lord of our life, government, jail, and happy and horrible worlds. So the attraction principle. Everyone is attracted to something beautiful or strong or wealthy because originally these opulences are present in God, who is supremely attractive. So there are attractions, we just can't resist to become attracted. Whether we appreciate or acknowledge that attraction or not, that's a different discussion. But we cannot avoid being attracted. There's some attraction in beauty. Let's say a beautiful girl walks by. Would you notice or not? Huh? Everybody will notice. But now what you're going to do about it, that's a different thing. But there is attraction. There is attraction. Or let's say some famous Bollywood star, just like now here in our temple, many times they come for some sabhas, this and that, but many people, I don't know them, unfortunately. So I don't get distracted. But if few of them, I know. But let's say somebody comes, there's some fame, there's some attraction, there's some potency, there's something. So, people turn around. They say, wow, look at this, or they want to take a photo, or selfie, this, that, whatever. There's attraction. So there is some potency there. So the great sage Parashara Muni defines Bhagavan as one who is full of 6 opulences: beauty, wealth, knowledge, fame, strength, and renunciation. So that's why all of those qualities are very attractive. They're very attractive. So the soul, being part and parcel of God, possesses similar characteristics, but of course in minute proportion. So beauty, as some ladies, they're beautiful for some time. Exhibit some beauty, and some people who are having some wealth, knowledge, some people who are having some strength or power, and there are people who are famous, and there are some people who are renounced. They're really renounced, and they're very much appreciated for that. Or that's also some quality of that generates attraction. So although there's no water in marriage, it shows real water must be sunk elsewhere. The short-lived and perishable opulences of this world indicates that the real opulences must be in the spiritual. That's one of the arguments of Plato. Plato was a great Greek philosopher, so he was pointing out, we see everything in this world, we see some qualities, again, same like this, justice, we see some principles like justice, we see some qualities like beauty and stuff like that. So he said, he just concluded there must be some source, some place where all of those are present in its completeness. Because seeing them here in this world, that's what it points towards. Must be some original source of all of those where they exist in its fullness, in its completeness. So that's definitely the case, but not in this world. So beauty. We say that Krishna is beautiful, no? Krishna. Krishna means Karshati, attraction again, no? Na means Ananda. So Krishna is the most beautiful. We can't even conceive of that beauty, but it's the beauty which attracts everyone. As we said, the beauty attracts. Then wealth, anyway, so many descriptions of Krishna possesses. He is ultimately the source of everything, of the universe, not to speak of anything else. So, but even when he was present, he displayed so much of wealth, knowledge. Who spoke Bhagavad Gita? Can anybody speak Bhagavad Gita? Which is the essence of all the Upanishads. Anybody can come up with something like that? No one. So the knowledge, not just Bhagavad Gita, everything else, all the Vedas. Then the strength, Krishna also exemplified that. Bhadananta Shesha holding all the universes. Then renunciation. Krishna also showed some qualities of renunciation. Of course, there are many descriptions, we're not going to develop on it. But Krishna he became a chariot driver of his devotee, no? Arjuna, friend Arjuna. Chariot driver means, the driver will touch your shoulders with the feet, sometimes directing you and ordering you and so many things. Krishna became subservient to his devotee. So there are many such kind of examples. Krishna washing feet of Sudama Brahmana, Krishna holding padukas of his father Nanda Baba. Although Nanda is his father, but actually he's not more than Krishna. Krishna just takes that role out of love. The Narayana Rishi. Anyway, many pastimes. Krishna was renounced, he was not attracted to material opulences. So God is one who is full in 6 opulences. These opulences reflect minutely in this material world. That's a verse from Bhagavad Gita. Know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring by the spark of my splendor. So therefore, Bhaga means opulence, Van means one who possesses. So Bhagavan Uvacha, Krishna spoke. That is described in Bhagavad Gita. So who is that Bhagavan? It's very clear. And then in Srimad Bhagavad Purana also it is mentioned. So well, anyway, so Krishna is the source and origin of all the opulences. So that's why Ekam Shema Sito Jagat, in a single fragment of myself, I support this entire universe. Therefore, we find those opulences in minute qualities in this material world, and nobody has them in its completeness. Anybody can think of someone who is famous? Think about someone who's famous. Raise your hand. Anyone who's on your mind? Anyone wants to share? Think of someone who's famous. Famous means known, no? Nobody, you can't think of anyone famous? There's no one famous in this world? Yes? Yes. Okay, so is he beautiful, handsome? Yes or no? What do you think? No, just tell me frankly, what do you think? Is he very handsome? Many girls would be attracted to him or something? No. Okay, so does he have a great knowledge? Is he very educated? Yes, not really. I wouldn't agree. Maybe some material knowledge in some field. No? Something. But not really. He's not having PhDs and doctorates and so many. No, not really known for knowledge. Okay, what about power? Can he lift something or some, no? No. It's very fragile. Is he renounced? Not really. He's very attached to what he has. Although sometimes he may pose as giving something just to gain more. That's what usually charity is meant for, to attract more. Anyway, so some quality, but not all of the, but Krishna possesses all of the qualities, renunciation and fame and beauty and knowledge and power. That's the difference. Okay, so God is Supreme Person and all souls are his eternal servants. exactly as a prime minister of a country is the leader of all his citizens. So by aligning with God, we're happy, but turning away, become unhappy. So is God therefore some impersonal light or energy? No. People have some impersonal conceptions, or he's a person. No. What is he? And some discussion how to understand who is that supreme person. If we are with him, you'll be satisfied. If you're not with him, you're not satisfied. Because that's what happens in this world. We are separating ourselves from him, and then we struggle. We struggle in so many different ways, competing with each other. Who's going to be God now? Because you remove the original one, but then somebody else has to kind of replace it as the conception, and we all think we are the one. And that's why, because that is the mentality, we all have to struggle with each other. And that's what creates this material world a hellish place, because we have that hellish mentality. And that's why we give trouble to each other. Just like now, there's so many little more prominent wars happening. And just recently, this Afghanistan and Pakistan started, and then Iran and US. And it's always something going on. That's what everybody wants to be God. Everybody wants to control resources. Everyone wants to enjoy. Everybody wants to tell others what to do. So that's the material world. So if you don't align with God, then we are going to compete with each other and fight with each other. And it's just going to create so much misery. So now, if you try to understand who the God is, then what is it? Is it some energy only? We already said he has qualities. So if he has qualities, it can't just be an energy. It has some energy on its own. And then if he's a person, then he must be energetic. Just like the example is given, you already said, okay, so here it is. Well-managed MNC with operations around the world, but there's a person behind. Somebody has to be behind. So USA, for example, governed by Republicans, there is one person heading it. Some people like him, some people hate him, some whatever. It's one person behind. But it's not really one person, but it's another discussion. But there has to be some person or some persons, no? So, but then who is the one behind the gigantic universal manifestation? There must be someone. That's why Bhagavad Gita, Krishna makes the statement, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate. I'm the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. That's Shabda Pramana. So where does the soul come from then? Krishna is the source of everything. So where is the soul coming from? So it said the spiritual world, Shastra described, where every word is a song, where every walk is a dance, where water is like nectar, all living beings are pure, there is no old age, disease, or death. Because we said, remember in the beginning, this world is a reflection. This world is a reflection. There's no real substance. It just looks so like it. Anybody wants to get old here? Please raise your hand. Why we don't want to get old? Anybody wants to become diseased? Some sickness? Anybody doesn't want to? Anybody wants to die? Anybody wants to die? Why? Because it's the nature of the soul not to die. Nature of the soul, that it's eternal. But in this world, we are imposed with such kind of calamities, circumstances where we have to undergo all that suffering. So that's why this material world is a reflection. That is our real eternal home, where we can get ultimate unending happiness. Thus, our goal of life is to return back home, back to Godhead. That world is described as not illuminated by the sun or moon or fire or electricity. And those who reach it never return to this material world. So in the beginning of the Battle of Kurukshetra, Arjuna was under stress because he was depending on his own ideas of becoming happy without consulting Krishna. So then he exhibited different symptoms very manifested on his body. You can read some of those, limbs are quivering, hair is standing on land. Gavdeva bow was slipping from his hand and so forth. So he was a friend and a devotee of Sri Krishna. And finally, when he wasn't able to resolve his difficulties, then he prayed to Krishna for guidance. So Krishna, being his well-wisher, pointed out that he has to follow certain instructions, and then of course by aligning with that, Arjuna achieved victory in happiness. That's what the life is about. You can keep on trying on your own. You can try to do so many different things, but at some point it's gonna, end up in front of the wall, and then what are you gonna do? Do you have to retract your steps or try to figure out something else? Or you're going to listen to and follow certain instructions, how to get out of certain, let's call this material world a labyrinth, a maze. It's not gonna be easy, so we need some instructions. Otherwise you can eternally practically be lost. There's no end. Matrix, There's no end. There's so many varieties. Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, describes it as Bahu Shakha Hinantascha. It's just like a banyan tree. You don't know where its roots, where its branches. It's all intertwined. There's no end to it. I think, I never ran, I've been to Calcutta many times, but they said there's one botanical garden and there's one big banyan tree. They said it's like almost, I don't know how. It's enormous. It's like I heard like that, but I'm also struggling to believe. But I say it's almost like half kilometer big. But there could be a big banyan. I've seen many big banyan trees, which just grow so large, and they're extending their roots and branches. It's just a big maze, big maze. So living being is described as jumping from one branch or root to another. Being lost, looking for happiness, trying to taste bitter and dry fruits of it. That's material world. You can be lost forever. You can go to this planet and that planet. It's like you can go from one country to another country looking for happiness. But the universe is much greater, and there are so many universes. So that's why this world is just a big and tangling place. But if we start following Krishna's instructions, then we will know what to do in this universe. Where is the beginning, where is the end, what we should really look forward, how we can attain that. Those kind of instructions are given in the Shastra, in the scriptures, in Bhagavad Gita. So that's why Lord Krishna is Bhakta Vatsala, protector of his devotees. Those who have and who do take shelter of his instruction, they're never lost in this maze of material existence. Just like Draupadi, that the prayers go up, but then the blessings come down. But if we are so adamant and we try to compete with Krishna and trying to claim ourselves to be God, then yes, then we will keep on competing, as I said at the beginning, with so many other gods. So who's going to prevail? And then we see this is going on in this material existence. So much strife and struggle. So Krishna told Arjuna to surrender to him only. Why? Because Arjuna quoted so many different levels of dharmas that are mentioned in the Shastras, and therefore he was confused. And he had personal interest. And that's also what makes things more confused. But when we follow the instructions on somebody who is, just like we gave this Microsoft example or something, who knows what's the best version of any Microsoft product? Somebody who manufactures it, right? So what is the best version? What is the best instruction? Who else would know but Krishna? And we have to, or for certain purpose. Let's say you want to use something for a certain purpose. Like nowadays you have these different features of mobile and this and that, whatever. They're meant for different purposes also. Not that everything is for the same stuff, no? So who would know that? The one who manufactures, one who designs, one who, makes everything available like that. So Krishna knows. He presented this material world And he's giving the description of what the utility of this world is. So by doing so, one can become free from all suffering, ultimately attain the spiritual world, which is eternal. Again, we have to remember it's eternal and free from all the struggles that we experience in the material world. So that's why at the end, Sanjaya proclaimed, although very interesting, he was on the other side, but he was a great devotee. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also be certainly opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. So Pandavas were 5, Kauravas were 100. Of course, they had a much greater army as well, but the Pandavas won the battle. Why? Because they followed Krishna's instruction. That's it. You look at the history, there's so many big armies, they lose. Why? They lose from small contingent of soldiers or whatever. Why? Because those soldiers, they know the terrain, they take advantage of so many other things, they're well disciplined, they're well organized, they know what is goal, they're motivated, they're really well instructed. And no matter what larger force you may encounter, they'll emerge victorious. So Krishna was such an instructor, He said to Arjuna, this is the way you fight, this is the way you win this battle. No, it's not that Krishna participated. No, he just gave the advice. So are we going to follow advice and win in spite of all setbacks and all kind of, hopeless or being hopeless, being in hopeless position or whatever, or facing such a great adversary. But if we have proper instructions, again, none of that matters. So what is the original, what is fake? So when the soul desires to imitate God, he forgets that eternal relationship with God. So considering himself to be a material body, covering made out of flesh and bones, the soul transfers love and service to material bodies, relatives, friends, and pets. So dharma means that which cannot be given up, or that which is a constant companion, intrinsic quality, just like water and liquidity, you can't separate. Salt and saltishness, fire, heat, and light. That's dharma of those objects. So if you look at the world around us, what is it that cannot be separated from a living being? That can be a big question. I'm not going to waste too much time. But one thing is there, it's service. Serving someone. Why? Because that's how we express our love and gratitude towards someone. And attraction also. That's why service. That's why people serve, if they don't serve DOG, they serve GOD, or the other way around. If they don't serve GOD, then they serve DOG. They have some pets, they have something, someone. They have to express, they have to interrelate, they have to have some relationship. And again, how do you maintain and express that relationship? It's through service, by doing something for someone. Even presidents to be elected, they have to promise so many things that I will serve in this way or that way. Service is underlying principle. So every living being serves someone. But relationship and love expressed through service in the material world, it's temporary. Time affects us all. I can't avoid the time. So dharma of the soul is to love and serve God. So in this world, when a paycheck is stopped, the service to companies also stops. Nobody's going to work for free. So though we may want to go on loving our parents, relatives, and friends, well, that stops our connection and we move over to another situation. We have no control over that. But God is eternal, soul is eternal, and the loving relationship between the two is also eternal. But that's the big difference, temporary and eternal. Just come back. So therefore, the loving relationship between is also eternal, so that eternal love and service to God is called Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan means eternal. So that's the Dharma. There's so many different Dharmas, but there's something that is Sanatan Dharma, eternal Dharma. Sanatan Dharmas are not permanent. They're based on certain bodily conditioning and position. So just as a man suffering from amnesia forgets his parents and relatives, we've forgotten our love and service to God. I had one friend in primary, secondary school. We were together first, like for 8 years. And then he was playing some band and something. And then he had a car accident. And he couldn't remember who he is. He couldn't remember anyone. And he lived for years like this. And I remember I went to my hometown and I met him on the street. And I called upon him. And he looked at me. He couldn't remember. He had this amnesia. And I don't know later on if he recovered what happened. I have no idea. But he just couldn't recollect it. It's pretty terrifying, huh? Pretty terrifying. So he had a real knockout happened, when he had that car accident. Somehow he survived, but he lived with that amnesia, at least for some time. I don't know really what happened later. That's now already many, many years ago. So like this, we forget our original position, and then we just get adjusted and start living again or whatever. We start identifying in different ways with different people, forming different relationships. So that's why in this world we think that this is the reality, but it's not reality. It's not reality. It's a reflection, and a temporary one, because that's going to be another so-called reality following up. They're not going to be permanent. So we forget Krishna. That's why we are reposing the same love and service in temporary and false relationship of this material world. They're finished with the time. That's why the time. Time will affect everything. So that's why we are spouse-centered for some time. It doesn't last for long. Family-centeredness, money-centeredness, work-centeredness, possession, pleasure, pet, friend, enemy. That's material world is busy with. So Sanatan Dharma is the Sanatan. Again, it's eternal. I may say the oldest, but it's eternal. There are so many other traditions that have appeared in a certain period of time. So they're not as complete as the Sanatan Dharma, which is eternal, which is unchanging. So that's why we say the different dharmas, but Sanatan Dharma is the original. The eternal principles of all religions are same. In essence, to love God, obey His laws, return back to Him, glorify His names, following the instructions. So they're compared to different audiences in different levels: elementary, high school, college. In essence, the same message, but quantity and quality might differ. So now, since we talk about this shadowy existence and the attraction and the qualities that we mentioned are attractive, so what about beauty? So the material opulence and false relationship of the material world are like glittering imitation gold, giving no satisfaction. There is attraction, there is certain potency, but it doesn't last. It's not absolute. So material world is like a mirage, like a perverted reflection of permanent spiritual world. Such material attractions are finished by passing time. The spiritual world and hellish planets, where we inflict misery upon others, and then what comes around goes around. Then we also have to experience that kind of selfishness or suffering that we impose upon someone else. So we have to be ready for the consequences of our choices. Therefore, the soul, why does it leave the spiritual world and comes to this material world? Oh, it's an adventure. You may think like this, an adventure. So it's like due to envy and desire to joy independent of God, it's just like a child who adamantly demands the mother to leave the kitchen to cook himself. So mother will give a toy kitchen set, play in the corner. It's like we wanna imitate God, have the desire to become like Him. Then He moves away, disappears from us, because that's what we want, so that we may think that we are assuming His position. So therefore, it's just like a fish being happy in the water. So soul can also be happy in the spiritual world, like this. But as soon as the soul wants to exit that original natural environment, just like a fish taken out of the water, then no matter what you offer to that fish, it's not going to be happy. You go out here on the Juhu beach and see some fish flapping, and you can offer anything to that fish. It's going to be happy? No, it's not going to be happy. It's out of its natural environment. So the soul in this material world, no matter what kind of fame you have, what kind of position you have, what kind of girl you get, not going to be happy. It's not going to work. Wrong environment. So therefore, like this amnesia, like a lost son of a billionaire father, you may forget your family, or sometimes you may just become so frustrated because you can't fulfill all of your desires, and your parents are not willing to assist you in that for whatever reasons. And then sometimes kids, they leave home. It's not so much in India. I know it's in the West. Because sometimes, okay, I had enough. I leave the home, but then, you have to live somehow. You don't have a job to work or something that still didn't qualify to get some job or something. So then loiter on the street. They're hungry and there's no place to stay, and somebody may come and recognize, wow, hey, I know this fellow. What's he doing? So there are three options one can do. One is just not bothered about it. Not my business to interfere, so you mind your own. Another one you can approach and say, hey, it's very nice, hey, I know you, I'm only this and that. Here's some money, get yourself some stuff, put yourself in some order for this for some time. And another one is try to understand why that person is in such condition and try to get him back. Understanding that essentially his parents or position that he was in was a very favorable position. So which one would you choose out of those three? Can we have the door closed? Which one would you choose? So you have three options. You don't have to, get involved. You just choose to stay away from it. You can just help with some assistance, or you can try to reconcile the difficulty that might have been there and try to bring that fellow back to his family. So which one do you think is the better option? Anybody wants to think a little bit for a moment? You don't want to get involved, assist in some way, or try to bring that fellow back? What would you do? What's the best thing? Yes.
Advise that person to follow the path of God.
Okay, that's there. But I gave three. You gave the fourth one. Which one of the three? That's the best one, yes, but still, one has to be qualified for that as well. It's not going to happen just like that. One has to be properly situated also first. Otherwise, he will neglect that advice. You may give the advice, but what's the use? People won't take it. No. Huh? Anybody else wants to, or you wanna? What about those three that I said? Let's say you know someone who is in your neighborhood or something, and somebody just leaves home in frustration for whatever reason, and you come across that fellow. What are you gonna do? You're just gonna leave him like that? You're gonna assist him, or you're gonna try to bring him back, convince him to come back? That was foolish to, leave that place, his home. What you gonna do? Huh? Who's asking him? Huh? Any hands? So now what should we do? If you're not considering what could be done, but then how can we proceed with this presentation? What would you do? Yes. What would you do?
But why would he listen to us?
No, but what would you do? You don't worry about that person, how that person will react. But what would you do?
I would choose
Option 3. Okay. Yeah, that's the best option. Because then all of his problems are resolved. No? No more hunger, no more trouble of staying somewhere. Everything is resolved. Because sometimes, the kids really get wild for no reason. So that has to be resolved. It's not that necessarily there is a parent's fault. So in the same way, we live this, we live spiritual world, and then we live in this material world, because it's just an absolute misconception. And it's very helpful then to resolve that misconception. That's what we are trying to do. Trying to understand why are we here, and that we shouldn't be here. It's the wrong place. We won't get what we're really looking for. Okay, anyway. So to revive our eternal relationship with the Father, God, to become truly happy. So the forgetful soul becomes attracted to the glittering illusion of false beauty of the real world. So many things one can think it can be happy. The material beauty is simply a poor imitation of the spiritual beauty. So there was one famous fellow who made a statement: the US is a mighty country, but where is our culture going? This is really a terrible place. I lived there for some time. It's no substance, that's the point. That's what we're discussing. There's no substance. People are really, stressed out and messed up and mentally disordered and misguided and utterly unhappy. So many things going on. Drugs, violence, divorces, sex, that's not the American dream. So, but India had a culture, not anymore. Interesting. I have to say that, unfortunately. It's getting worse, because that's what India tries to do also. Family values are hardly existent anymore. That's why the culture is also hardly existent. But still, to some extent, has much more substance still here in India than it is there in the West. So that we have to some extent. So unfortunately, many youngsters in India, that's still his quote, influenced by US media. They're being influenced by the wrong culture. It looks nice. That's why India is enamored by the illusion that West is so expert in selling. What are the movies? It's all an illusion. No, it's all a fiction. Is there any reality there? Absolutely no. It's all a fiction. They're so expert in producing. so expert. They're selling illusion, very expert in doing it. Anyway. So that's why. Free life. Anyway. Becoming intoxicated and having so many troubles. Ending up in so many horrible ways. That's reality. That's not real happiness. So that's part of that shadow lifestyle. Okay, so enchanting beauty queens. Okay. So the bodies of the beauty queens for the youth make men go crazy. Become dried out in old age, like grapes turning to raisins. That's like now it's a grape season. After a few months, you get raisins. Nothing wrong with grapes. Until then, you have to wait till again till next year. That's material nature. It's material world. No one will ask. So the real substance, spirit, soul, it's forgotten. The shadow, material body, is given all importance. So we are not the material body. Material body, it's not permanent. Oh, there is one story which I will skip now. And we will have some drama on this. We had the drama. Hey, where is the drama team? Can we have this? We can have this. This is very easy, no? Yeah, today, because it's relevant. I know, but you had that one before sometimes. That's not so difficult. Can we have this one? Okay, go fast, just in 5 minutes if you can work it out. So I saved the time because so we're getting late. Okay, so they'll give the lesson of this. So the harsh reality of the most cherished body, no body will last. Okay, so therefore, Krishna is the friend of everyone, is friend of everyone. The spirit soul and the spiritual world derive great joy in the loving service to the Lord. We've seen pastimes of Krishna, Lord Ramachandra, and all different kinds of other expansions. Being part and parcel of God, the soul can achieve happiness only by serving the whole. So it's just like pouring water on the root of the tree will energize the whole tree. The whole tree can be nourished. So similarly, if the soul serves God, everyone will be happy and satisfied. But if we try to individually serve ourselves only, of course, definitely there's not going to be any happiness. So that's the spiritual world. So therefore, material world, when we chase after mirage of material pleasure, and we repeatedly get cheated. So how can we become happy? Nourish, all the parts of the tree are nourished by watering the root. Just like all the senses are nourished by feeding the stomach. Not that the other senses won't strike, what will happen? So therefore serving the whole, the Supreme Lord, and everybody and everything becomes perfected. So then, therefore, this shadowy material world, that kind of reflected existence compared to the jail, it's like a prison. Because we have that mentality to act against the nature of God. So therefore, we are imprisoning ourselves. But to aligning with Him, when we have eternal home, society, friendship, and love, that's what spiritual life is meant for. So when the soul leaves the spiritual world and comes to the material world, he forgets his true identity as the soul and foolishly thinks himself to be the material body, which is spiritual and imperfect. That's the illusion of the material world. Okay, we'll skip that. This will take time. Which is comparison of material existence with spiritual. So that's a happy world and horrible world. We have to at least be clear about it, have the information so we can make a choice. Material bodies belong to material world, but spirit soul belongs to the spiritual world. spiritual body is permanent, full of knowledge and bliss. Material body is just the contrary. So that's why material world is just a reflection of spiritual reality. Everything else is just a pale shadow. Just like we have something real as something that is fake. Marble, currency, fruits, beauty. So everlasting pastimes and immortal relationships are only possible on the spiritual platform. Okay, Hare Krishna. Any questions? And we have a light. Or maybe if anyone has any questions, we can discuss that during the dinner. Now we'll have our drama. Let's see in 2 minutes if they've made it ready. Okay.